All right, guys, it's time for an update because some of you may not know what's going on with the channel or me personally. If you're not in the Discord, if you're not plugged into any of the social media that I put out on the regular, and to be honest, some of this information isn't even. I've pretty much kept it to my Discord in terms of this brand, if you want to call it that. But there's been some upheaval in my life and my household. Uh, on Tuesday afternoon, we got a call from my mother, and the call essentially said that my father was in the hospital. He had been in a wreck. Now, that's particularly troubling because my father rides a motorcycle. So you know right off the bat, this is gonna be some dark shit. It's gonna be some serious matters when it comes to any accident involving a motorcycle rider. It generally does not end well for them on any metric known to man. And so we got that call. I had to call into work. I had to take time off for family. I had to wait in the ER for a few minutes. My mother went in. She went in to see him. And when she came out, she informed me that he had gone into emergency surgery. Now, the emergency surgery, of course, was to take care of internal bleeding, broken ribs, and a ruptured spleen. So they had to go in and remove his spleen, drain his wounds, and basically fix him up. They tell us that this is how would you say, a regular event, that this is how would you say that? It's typical, I guess you could say, from their point of view, from their experience, and you just take them at their word that this should take about an hour to accomplish to get him in there, get him patched up, uh, get him situated in another room where he can recover. And we're sitting in that surgery waiting room for oh, just shy of 3 hours. And at that 2 hour mark, you start to have thoughts that you don't want to have. Now, my father's about 60 years old, but he's a healthy 60-year-old man. He goes to work every day. He was riding home to take care of a handicapped wife. My mother is in a wheelchair, so he has responsibilities. He has duties. He has obligations, and those obligations aren't just to my mother. I know I'm a grown man, but and I don't want to say that I need my dad. That would be a sign of irresponsibility on my part. I have my own family to take care of, but I do still need him. He's uh, he's kind of my rock for life because we did a lot of things similar. I have a lovely family of four beautiful daughters, and my two oldest came from a previous marriage, my wife's previous marriage. And it just so happens that he did the same thing. He married my mother when she had two older girls. Uh, and we both, when we decided we were going to marry this woman, when we had decided that this was going to be the woman that we were going to marry and that who was going to be the mother of our children, we both got down on bended knee and asked our daughters if we could be their daddy. And I learned that from him. And he is still a necessary and crucial part of my life in navigating those particularly treacherous waters, raising two older girls who, you need to have more than a biological relationship with, because it's not something you can rely on. You have to earn it, you have to work for it, you have to keep tabs on who your children are, who they're developing, who they're turning into, and give them guidance as best as you can. He helps me with this, and no one could help me the way that he could help me. It's not just his virtues, it's his experience. It's our shared story that I need him around, to be honest. So this man is in surgery for just shy of 3 hours. And it was a sigh of relief to hear that he was in recovery, that they were going to move him to an ICU unit in the hospital. And it was stressful. I'm not going to lie. There was a moment where one of my best friends gave me a ping, and I called him up. This dude's on his honeymoon, and he accepts my call because my father's in the hospital. That's brotherly love right there. That's the kind of love all men need in their lives, to be honest. And he's like, "Dude, how you doing?" He's like, "Well, you know me. I'm fine until things ain't fine, and until he's dead, we're men, and that's just how it is." Because that was my role. I'm not going to be there with my mother and my wife and be the worrywart. That be a man. Be the stoic. Be the support for those around you when these situations happen. And so we hang up, and we get up to his room, and my God, I'm going to be honest. I think the surgery took more out of him than the car wreck did. Um, I'm fairly certain that going through surgery put him in more pain and agony than being hit in the consequences thereof. The difference is, if he didn't get the surgery, he would have died. If he was not tended, given medical treatment, those emergency services, the consequences of that car wreck would have killed him. So it needed to happen, but if I had to guess, I think being cut into, having your spleen removed, and having tubes put in your body is going to cause you a bit more discomfort than the adrenaline coursing through your body telling you, holy shit, we're in a car wreck. And by the way, anyone who's been in any similar scenario knows that the second day is generally worse than the first. But that night, as he was in that bed, you could see him visibly shaking from pain. That is not something you want to see in your father. That was rough. The good news, though, is that he's pulling through. And I haven't gotten to see him yet. I haven't gotten to see him face to face since that night, because I work nights, sadly, and you're only allowed, because of COVID, one family member per day. Not one person in the room at a time. No. It's one family member per day. That's nonsense, but we're not going to go deep into politics here. So, it was rough. I'm not going to lie. It was rough seeing him in that state, but, pardon me, it was also a relief to see him. And though he could barely speak, he did speak. And it was a relief to see that he was still him. He would open his eyes and his intelligence was still there. Because for those of you who... this is another frustrating thing about, your father being in a motorcycle accident. Let me tell you something about my father. My father's father, my grandfather, was also in a motorcycle wreck. My grandfather, however, was not as safety minded as my father. He was not wearing a helmet and got in that car wreck, and it didn't kill him, but it significantly diminished his mental capacity. And this man was brilliant, and he nigh turned himself into a vegetable. My father, however, because of that example and years of personal discipline, is a he's one of those riders. He has the full face helmet, he has the gloves, he has the leather jacket, and on top of that leather jacket is a reflector vest. A reflector vest that shines in the street light of darkness, kind of thing. So, and he was driving in the middle of the afternoon, where you would think that such things are not required for people to see you, but apparently people are still going to be jerk offs. So he wears all the gear all the time. That's just how he rolls. And it's frustrating to see someone, and my father is, if you couldn't ascertain this already, one of the safest drivers on God's green earth. And I say that, that's just part of who he is. See, he is safety minded on all things at all times, and his driving is not an exception, despite, riding a motorcycle, something that is determined to be dangerous. He's going to have safety on mind at all times. And still, despite all this, someone decided to uh, pull up in front of my father to cut him off and then apply their brakes. And and by the way, I saw my father's clothing after the wreck. Not only was he wearing this vest, but I also saw his leather jacket. And let me tell you something about the absolute state of this leather jacket. Yes, it's true that when you get to the hospital and they need to get to you, they cut your clothing off instead of just taking it off. Okay. The side of his jacket where they didn't cut, they did not cut his jacket in this area, but the entire side of it is completely tattered and torn through, as you can see where his body scuffed and slid on the road. Like, there's no leather left on this section of the jacket at all. And so, and I'm looking at this jacket going, holy fuck. My old man survived this. And looking at this, and you can tell that it's because the leather has been worn and dragged on the street. It's unmistakable. And despite all that, my mother goes to see him yesterday and today, and he is improving. He's actually getting better. He's awake, he's talking, he's recuperating, and I have to thank God. I have to. I was in that ICU unit, and I was able to give him a blessing. I was able to use my priesthood for my father to ensure that he had good health, and to let him know that his father wanted him to know that his family will be taken care of, that his affairs will be in order. And I can testify to that because my wife is ensuring that all of that happens. She's running around being a mom, taking care of her kids, and taking care of insurance, taking care of getting the bike out of the tow yard, all of the minutia of getting everything so that My family, my father's and my mother's life is not in complete tatters while he's recovering. It is has largely fallen to my wife, and she deserves praise. I have truly married a woman uh, worthy of God and above the price of rubies. For those of you who get that reference, and I need to thank everyone who was a part of sending him their thoughts and their prayers. Everyone who prayed for his, and I've had people contact me and say that they are praying for his full recovery, and I just wanted to let everyone know those prayers are being answered in full, because my father is a good man. He honors his covenants, he keeps his promises. He is a man. He takes care of his family. He is the provider. He is the figure through which we all gain strength. And I've always said, always, that I would be lucky to be half the man this man is. And by literal miraculous means, he is not just recovering, but he is recovering as himself, for which I am grateful. And if you've listened to all of this, I thank you for listening. This is just a personal rant about what's going on in my life and my household. But I just want everyone to know that he is okay. He's on the mend. And that's why you haven't been hearing much of me, is because I've been dealing with family. Because family comes first. It always does. So take care of your family. Take care of yourselves. And stay carnal. And God bless everyone. Have a good day.